Bruce,
Jimmy.
how you doing?
I'm doing fantastic. How are
Good,
you?
man. Good to see you.
Great to see you too. We got to do this more often.
We got to do it more often. I mean, it's been a while since
I know.
we had our talks. You know.
I know.
You're the one that got me into motivational speaking in the first place. I mean, that was back in 2005, probably.
Yeah.
And that's when I was asking you about it. And remember, we went to the James Malinchak boot camp, and there was like 20 people in the boot camp when I went. And now he's got what, 5? Have you been there lately?
He says he has 500 already filled up, 517, and there's a few more spots left, is what he always says. But you never know.
I know. That marketing guy. He's not in the speaking business. He's in the business of marketing his speaking services.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah. So you've been doing some speaking.
Yeah, man, it's really great. A lot of athletic teams and the businesses that have been hiring me, they've been really great opportunities because I just spoke in North Carolina at a place called the Umstead Resort, and I was pampered for a whole day. These people have great customer service, and I was just asked to do something on customer service for an insurance company over in Defiance. So so I've been doing businesses, but the most fulfilling thing to do is with the athletes, these young athletes, and see them excel just by learning a few things about the mental game and how to combine mind-body communication and working together as a team. And so those have been fun. A lot of volleyball teams, golf teams, no football teams yet this year. That's unusual, but.
Okay, so you work with more teams than, and do you do individual? Do you work with individuals or?
I used to, but I don't anymore.
Yeah.
It has to be someone really special or close to me for it to work one-on-one, because most of the time it's the parents that are dragging their kids in, going, "He's not playing well. Can you help him out?" And the student doesn't even want to be there.
Right, exactly.
It's just a waste of their money.
That's a whole nother podcast about parents pushing their children into sports when they don't want to be there.
Yeah, and it's not going to help the student if they don't want to be there either, because you really have to want to work these techniques. You've got to take the time and put it aside, but you can practice in your bed before you go to sleep at night, in a study hall, on the bus on the way to the game. You can use these techniques then, and to build up your self-confidence and visualize.
Okay, we're going to talk about those techniques here in a minute. But so for example, if you get a team with pretty good talent, say it's a basketball team, and they're pretty good. There's a couple good players. And you have a team then that's just talent out of this world, and they just got 5 guys. They're tall, I mean, and then you see that team that's not as talented go in and beat that talented team of just 5 studs. I mean, do you see that a lot? When you do your motivational presentations for these teams and work with them, can you take a team that's average and make them great, Bruce?
You know, I started out in this business years ago doing a workshop that was called How to Win the Big One. And I would guarantee that your team played the best game of the year or won the game, or you went in it to pay my fee. And it was amazing the things that happened. Van Loo against Van Buren, hadn't beat him in 12 years, lost to him twice really big during the year. They're playing him in the tournament. And Jack Frost calls me up. He used to be my quarterback when I taught at Van Buren. And they're playing Van Buren, and Lynn Martin's a really good friend of mine, and he's the basketball coach at Van Buren. So I'm going, oh my gosh, I don't want to. Lynn's a good friend, but Jack was a good kid too. So I said, okay, I'll do it. And they upset Van Buren in the tournament in overtime. I remember a kid named Rod Rose made 2 foul shots right at the end of that game to upset him, and then other coaches started hearing about it, and I started working with some other teams. And wouldn't you know, the first game or 2 games after this workshop, they played phenomenal, and so something was happening in this workshop.
So I mean, give me a couple things you said to this team to make them. I mean, what did they need to hear?
Well, when I was taught this, the fellow that taught me this said it doesn't make any difference what you say; it's what you do at the end. There were some things we did at the end that really built up their persona, their confidence, and it got them to play the game for their teammates rather than play the game for themselves. But some of the things we would talk about before that, because it's kind of fun to introduce them to some of these aspects of the mental game, is staying in the now, letting go of the mistakes, of being able to communicate with each other in a positive way rather than rolling the eyes and shrugging the shoulders and slumping the shoulders forward and all those other things that a lot of coaches and parents do in the stands that upset their kids when they're playing. And it helped them stay in the right moment, and that's when you play your best ball, when you're in the now. And you hear that a lot, I'm in the now. But you think about it, your whole life is lived in the now because the rest of it's already gone or it hasn't happened yet. So now is the only moment that really exists, so it's the only one you can really do anything about.
Yeah, so you embrace that moment.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if you know this, but I remember when I played for the University of Findlay, you came in and you did one of those team builders one time, and it was before Croy was redone and everything. We were in the little where did all the alumni go in that hall?
Yeah.
Anyhow, we were in that room, and I remember portions of it, and we were getting fired up. And I remember you went around. We were sitting in a circle, and we were supposed to look at the person next to us and tell that person one thing we really liked about that person.
Yeah.
And, you know, those kind of things can get a little uncomfortable. You know what I'm saying? But I just remember afterwards we were all laughing, and, you know, I said something to Carl Hilliard, you know, I like your hair, man. You're a good guy. You slapped me 5 when I see you on campus. And we did win the next game.
That was against Wilmington, I remember.
Really?
That was the very first workshop that I did. Dr. Zirkle at the university sent me down to Miami. This is how I started my speaking career. He sent me to Miami to do a sports psychology conference, just to attend it. And I ran into that fellow that taught me how to do this, how to win the big one workshop. And the first one I did was that University of Findlay team that you were on.
That was the first one you did.
And Niekamp went back to President Zirkle and said, wow, that was the best game I've ever seen played by both teams. He said, because Wilmington was ranked or something, and we beat them in that game.
Okay.
It was just
Yeah, I remember that, Bruce. That was good. So I mean, how long have you been doing it then? What year was that? That was probably what 90?
1990. That's when
probably right around 90.
I started in '89. So
okay. So you've been motivating the whole.
28
You've been
years.
motivating people for. Wow, you've been doing it that long.
28 years. It doesn't seem like it.
Because everybody knows you around Findlay, Ohio, and probably the darn country. Are you international?
Yep.
Yeah.
Spoken in Canada and Mexico.
Really?
Yeah.
I mean, you got such a good. I mean, seriously, Bruce. I remember when you worked before you worked at the university as admissions.
Yeah.
And you were cutting edge on the karaoke. When karaoke came out, you had a handle on the karaoke business here in Findlay, Ohio, and probably elsewhere too.
Well, we did that at your gym.
I know.
Because we were making it fun, and you just had a message on Facebook a while ago about how when you first started your business, how you made it fun for people to come into the gym. And I don't know if you read the Courier today, but that's exactly what they said. Gyms are making the workouts more fun.
Yeah, I did read that.
They had yoga and everything in there, but you're way ahead of your time too. See, buddy.
Okay, so who do you got up next? What teams you motivating next?
I'll be speaking at Cary High School tomorrow. My second meeting with the volleyball team. I've got a new thing that I've been doing for the last 2 years that's been really powerful with the teams, because I get kids that call me after they graduate saying, I'm assistant coaching a high school team now, and we're using some of your things, but we go into a school 3 times.
Okay.
And it's a 45 minutes to an hour each time, and we build on the mental game. In the first one, we teach them about believing in themselves, then we talk about visualizing success, and then we monitor our performances after that by becoming aware. When you're in the zone or when you're playing really good, you're breathing a specific way. Your muscles are either tense or they're relaxed. And so we make the athletes aware of that. And so by having them fill out this chart. And once they become aware of that, in the first 2 meetings, they've been taught specific techniques on how to change muscle tension, how to change breathing techniques and stretching techniques as far as that goes too. And so they're able to self-correct. When they feel their game falling apart, they're able to bring it back up to the level that they were by using some of these techniques. So that's the fun thing to do, because it's training. They know more about the mental game than most people in the country do after three meetings.
Are they physical techniques? Because I remember you told me one time that before a test, because Bruce does a lot of, you do a lot of speeches about how to take a test and not freak out before a test.
Test anxiety.
Yeah. And I remember you told me this one time. My daughter was freaking out about taking this test, and she's in 8th grade now. This was last year. And I said, you know what? Stretch out your calves. before you take the test, and I don't think it was a test. I think it was she had to give us a speech. She had to give a speech. She did a book, and she was dreading it for 2 weeks. And I told her, Bruce, I'm like, this is what Bruce Boguski says. He said, stretch out your calves, take a couple deep breaths. That's gonna help. And she did that, and she came home that day. And I don't know if it was in her head that was gonna work, because I convinced her it was.
Well, that's some of
but
it.
she did. She got through it, and she was very happy after that.
Well, if you watch any kind of sport on TV and you see an athlete cramping up, they always cramp up in the calf first. And the reason I told your daughter to do that was because the first muscle that cramps up when you're under stress is the calf muscle. It's called the tendon guard reflex reaction. But this is also why kids that are autistic walk on their toes a lot. But when these kids are put on a stretching program 2 or 3 times a day, about 5 minutes each time, after about 3 weeks of stretching, their communication skills get better. So the calf muscle has a very interesting link to verbal communication skills. So if you keep that loose, your ability to speak in front of a group and give a speech, or at a conference, give a talk, increases dramatically. So that's why I told her to do that.
Okay.
There's scientific.
There is a scientific reason for that, huh? It's just not the placebo effect where you're just telling people to do stuff. But so you give them you give the teams more physical or more mental things to do, and what fill us in on a couple.
It's mostly mental things, but I always begin with 2 physical things. And Aaron Rodgers last year, when Green Bay played their last game in the NFL playoffs, he did something amazing that helped my business, because he did a brain gym activity that I always teach in my athletic seminars. But now we got Aaron Rodgers doing it, so the kids will go, whoa, if Aaron Rodgers is going to do it, then it's going to work for me. And it's an exercise called the cross crawl, and where you take your opposite elbow and touch it to your opposite knee. Now, this actually activates the corpus callosum in the center of the brain and brings the hemispheres together and makes your brain, makes it suitable to lightning fast games like volleyball, football in the NFL. It allows you to think quicker, to come up to solve problems faster, coordination gets better, your relaxation response is activated. A lot of good things happen by doing cross crawl. In fact, if anybody's listening right now, if you go look up cross crawl and Google it, there's an article that comes up in there. If you print that out, you'll do cross crawl every day when you see the benefits that it has to the human brain, especially before an athletic contest or a pressure packed situation. So I teach them that. I teach them cross crawl right away. I also teach them the energy yawn, which is a brain gym activity also. A lot of people don't know this, but when our parents were handling stress, they handled it in their lower back. And that's why everybody with an AARP card has lower back pain now. But kids today handle it in their jaw. In fact, there's a whole subset of people, which I just found out that I was one of these people. They're called grinders. And they grind their teeth at night when they're sleeping. Well, if that's how you handle pressure when you're sleeping, that's exactly how you handle it during the day. But when you grind your teeth, and I didn't know this until I started doing some kind of research on my book, when you grind your teeth, your legs can get 20% weaker because it blocks the cranial nerves that are running up and down your jawbone from getting to the brain. Your shoulders get weaker, your vision becomes impaired, your hearing's not as good, a lot of weird, bad things happen. So there's an exercise you do where you put your fingers right in front of your ears and gently massage the temporomandibular joint. And you'll be able to find it really easy. It's like an indentation in your jaw. And you open your jaw up and down while you do that. And after you do it, your legs get stronger. You're able to, your vertical leap increases, a shoulder gets a little bit stronger, vision becomes better. And I proved this to the kids when we're doing this. And so those are 2 physical things that I show them right away. But the mental thing about staying in the right moment, using positive words, we talk about that in extensively, so that, and we have them correct each other. A great football, while we're talking about sports, a fantastic technique in football. There's only been 2 coaches that have used this, and they tell me don't tell anybody else about it because they don't want anybody else doing it. But you have when the team goes back into the huddle, if it's an offense or defense, when the linebacker or the quarterback is given calls to play, the guys in the huddle tell the person to their right and left. They look over to the right and look over to the left, and they tell that person what they're going to do on that play, what their assignment is. The coaches that have actually tried this, they call me and they say, we didn't have one mistake in that last game, because a guy will tell a guy, I'm going to block the guard, and he goes, no, 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 you're double teaming with me. And they'll correct themselves in the huddle. But not only that, the auditory learners are verbally programming their bodies what they're going to do on that play. And that's a technique that Tiger Woods used. He would actually verbally program the ball. He would talk to the ball about where he wanted it to go, and it makes so much sense after you learn about learning styles and stuff like that. So that's, if football coaches listen, there's a great technique for you.
So the quarterback talks to the person to the right and the left, or everybody
the
in the
quarterback would call the play.
Okay.
And then the center looks to the guards that are either side of them. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. And
okay.
And most of the
You
time,
mean on the line?
Yeah.
On the line?
No,
Yeah.
right in the huddle before.
Oh, in the huddle. Okay, in the huddle.
In the huddle, and then you break the huddle.
Okay.
And it's really, the coaches, the emails I got from those coaches is amazing.
So if some students are having if there's some girls on the 8th grade volleyball team right now listening to this, and they've been struggling, they're in a slump, or anybody on any team, what can they do before they go to bed tonight? I mean, can they start doing mental techniques that and they have to do these every day?
Yeah, well, the teams that I work with extensively, we have them lie down in the bed the night before and visualize the game. And there's specific ways that you visualize positively. And in my seminars, I walk them through this. And just to give you a synopsis, you always see things bright, you see them up close, you see them really big, and you see them sharp, focused, detailed, a lot of color. That automatically makes the visualization positive if you do those kind of things, and I prove that.
You mean, what do you mean? You say that to yourself, or what are you saying about sharp?
When you're visualizing, make it a sharp, make it clear, make it detailed.
Okay.
Use a lot of color.
I see.
Very bright. See it big. Those are qualities of a positive visualization.
Okay.
And then we have them visualize the game. Now, you see yourself coming out, taking off your sweats, and then see the opening hit, great serve, a great spike, whatever, a good dig. You see your team performing in a peak manner. Now, once you get really trained on this, we actually have them purposely see themselves making a mistake. And we do that because then we ask them, okay, what will you do to regroup? And then we have them visualize themselves using the techniques that they've been taught to regroup. So then when it happens on the court, it's not happening to them for the first time. They've already seen what they're going to do. They already know what they're going to do to regroup when that mistake happens. And so they do that. So that's how we teach them.
So visualization, anything you do in life, visualizing is awesome. I mean, I can remember before I opened the gym, I wanted a gym where when somebody walked through that door, I mean, I visualized this, Bruce. I would call them, no matter where I was in the gym, I'd yell their name out and say, welcome to Jim's Gym, Bruce. And so you knew you were welcome. And I visualized me, harassing people, kind of having fun, making fun of them in an uplifting way. And I visualized when they would leave that I would call them by name when they left and say goodbye. And if they left without, saying goodbye to me, next time they came in, they got a hard time. So, and I would look at that, and I would even look at myself at my smoothie bar back there, and visualizing this whole gym, and piece by piece it came together, and that's exactly what I do now, Bruce.
Well, Keith Urban, I don't know if you ever watched that American Idol show. He talks about exactly the same thing, about how he's standing in front of the mirror at night playing an air guitar and picturing himself up on stage, and then he had a name for this band. He already named this band. He really wanted to put this band together, so he wrote the name of the band on the side of the garage, and his dad got really upset because he had this band's name on it, and there wasn't even a band yet. And then he formed this band, and he gave him that name, and they started practicing, and he's still look where he is at today. And
oh yeah, he's good. He's good too. I enjoy listening to him. I'm not a huge country fan. I like Keith Urban though. I really do.
There's a ton of them. There's a ton of visualization stories that I tell in my seminars to help people to just establish some credibility in it. And there's a movie, Collateral, that I just happened to watch again last
with Will Smith.
Yeah.
Wait, Will?
No,
Will.
it was.
Oh no, that was the one.
Tom Cruise and Jamie Foxx.
I know you're talking about. Tom Cruise has gray hair.
Yeah.
Right,
yeah.
right.
And Jamie Foxx is the cab driver.
Yeah. And Tom Cruise is like an assassin, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See,
I love
Foxx,
Tom Cruise.
He says whenever he needs to calm down, he pulls down that visor, and he's got a picture of his own little island And he says, I just go there.
Nice.
He goes there for 3 minutes. And that's a great technique for calming down. We actually teach that. Remember your mom used to tell you, go to your happy place. She was right.
Yeah.
She was right. But you got to have a happy place.
Hey, when people are struggling here at XT Fitness and I'm teaching the class, I tell them to go to the happy place, but they're already there. XT Fitness, they're already at their happy place, I tell them. So where do you go from there, you know? So visualization is key. I mean, you really stress this with the teams.
Yeah. Well, see, the reason I do that, I had an accident when I was a kid at 17.
I was going to ask you, I want you to tell that story. This is a great story. I love this story.
I was on my way to play football at Bowling Green, and I was in the back seat with these two big guys. And gosh, I can't remember their names, but I can see their faces. And we got hit by a drunken driver on the turnpike, and I broke my neck in three spots. I was never able to play football again, and they told me I'd never walk again. The first person I met, I mean, after I came out of my coma, the kid next to me, our nurse walks into the room and he goes, "Hi, Sarge, how you doing?" So my night nurse is named Sarge. And I always tell my audiences when I'm speaking, I said, you're probably visualizing what a night nurse named Sarge looks like, and you're right. She was an imposing woman, but she didn't take any crap from anybody. And that's exactly the kind of person I needed in my life at that time, because I had all these excuses and I kept asking, why me, which is, by the way, the worst question you ever want to ask yourself when you're facing adversity, because it takes the focus off of the solution and puts it back on the problem. But she taught me to visualize.
And you were actually paralyzed?
Yeah, from neck down. Right arm, I could move the right arm a little bit, but not much.
Wow.
And everything else was paralyzed.
Wow.
She had me visualizing myself walking. She'd lean me back in my bed before I'd go to sleep, and she would guide me through a vision. She would talk to me, and she'd say, now you're going to be walking down a ramp. The ramp is going to be rough, so you're not going to slip. You don't have to worry about that. And you're going to take a step, and you're going to take another step. And then when it actually happened, about 4 months after she started doing this with me, I was up on top of this ramp, and I was so scared, and I took my first step, and it felt just like it did every night that she had guided me through it. And then I said, the heck, the second step's going to be the same. And it was, and the third step was the same way. I mean, I'd seen these things happen, and it just came true the exact way that I was seeing it. And I've been a big believer. And now people don't know how to take this when I tell them, but about 5 years ago, I was diagnosed with leukemia. And so I have a visualization that I do where my body's getting better by having Pac-Man go through the bloodstream and kill the cells. And I was just to Dr. Shannon last week, and I'm down to less than stage 1 now. And I was up to almost 2 at one point. And so it's going the other way.
Wow.
I know. And
overcoming paralyzation, you overcame cancer, dude. You're going to live to be like 148, aren't you?
Well, I want to.
All you got to do is and wow, Pac-Man eating the cancer cells away, right?
Well, they're
Pac-Man?
not just eating them. They got hats, they got grenade launchers, they got stuff. But I'm not going to stop, because what if that's what's doing it? I mean.
No, yeah. I mean, there's something to be said. I mean, that's just like positive mental attitude. You know, the big O,
Yeah.
optimism, Bruce.
Well, other athletes will tell you how powerful visualization is. Everybody does it. Your brain thinks in pictures. And the positive attitude, you had a great one on last week on, what is that called, the podcast?
Yeah, that's just like my morning motivator type thing.
That was a great one on positive attitude, because there's a lot of people that need to hear that.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot to be said about looking at your situation in a positive way, no matter what.
Yeah, and expecting good results.
Expecting good results, yeah.
But see, my theory is right now that in our country and in schools and families, people are visualizing seeing what they don't want to have happen and wondering why it's happening, because they're bringing it in.
Like, what do you mean? Like watching the news, what are you talking about?
Well, like in my seminars, I'll tell people, don't think of Tom Cruise. And so right away, they're thinking of Tom Cruise. And so some of the teams that I've worked with, the volleyball team, yelled across the net the other day and said, don't hit it into the net. The other team hit 2 serves into the net. Because when you visualize what you don't want to have happen, you let it in. And your body... Cleveland Browns playing the Denver Broncos. They're all ready to score a touchdown. It's going to take them to the Super Bowl. And 2 guys in the huddle look at Ernest Biner and say, hey, Ernie, don't fumble. And remember that NCAA finals when Chris Webber's dribbling down the court and the coach is on the sidelines, he's yelling, "Don't call timeout." Technical foul. Just like,
Yeah, yeah.
you know, if you visualize negative things, you make them happen. You bring them in.
Interesting. So these teams are doing a lot of visualization. So you really ingrain that into them.
Yeah.
What else? What other mental techniques can they do?
Well, this may not seem very mental, but as soon as I start working with a team, it really brings them closer together. Though we develop a sign. We have a team sign, like a pump, like the Star Trek used to do this, pump their chest when they would see each other, and or another baseball team, a softball team that I worked with last year. They would go, their hand would be in a ball and they'd explode whenever they saw each other at the grocery store or anything like that. That was their sign. You know, the teams start doing that. All of a sudden, they just start feeling like a team. People start asking, "What are those guys doing over there? What's the thing?" So we do that to bring them together as a team. We work. It's really fun when you see a senior do something like that when they make a mistake, and then a freshman says, "Hey, that's not going to help the team," because they're correcting each other. When someone gets negative, they're not afraid to say, "Stay positive," because they know. And if you could go through a whole seminar of mine, you'd see that we really talk about how when you're positive, things work out better for you. In fact, when the athletes that were in the zone, when they asked them how did it feel to be in the zone, the number one word that came back was joy, joyful. It was just so joyous. That's the one word they kept saying. And they all said the same thing, joy.
In the zone, that means just things are going right.
Yeah.
It's like you're not even out there, and you're just you're making the baskets. You're catching the ball. You're spiking it. I mean, you're just. Is that what the zone is?
Yeah, it's effortless. It's like you can't be stopped, and you feel so powerful. But the mistake a lot of people make, they start going, "Wow, this is amazing. I wonder how I got here. I wonder when it's going to end." And as soon as they start thinking that, the flow state is broken and it ends.
Mm-hmm.
And so what I teach people is that once you get into that zone, don't worry about it, where it's coming from, where it's going. Don't worry. Just ride that. I tell them, ride that sucker out. Just have as much fun as you can and stay in the right moment, because the zone happens in the now.
You know, I'm sure that hopefully my clients here get I call it the exercise high. You know, when they're probably in the zone when they think they're in major pain, Bruce, but they're knocking it out. Their heart's pumping. They're feeling good. I mean, that's kind of like an exercise high. So everybody can get into the zone, can't they?
Yeah.
I mean, can you get into the zone at work?
Sure.
And I mean, how do you get into a zone sitting in a cubicle?
Well,
how do you adapt to that existence? I know you probably couldn't imagine sitting in a cubicle all day long looking at a screen. We're not built like that. I mean, I wonder what percent of the people are sitting there and like dreaming of something else that they can do or want to do. I mean, what do you tell those people? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I mean, who really does? Bruce, I'd gouge my eyeballs out if I had to sit there all day long.
You know,
I couldn't do it.
You and I would do that, but there are people that are made to do that because we're all so different. And I would, if I was in a cubicle, I would do something like Jamie Foxx did. I'd have one cubicle with a blue sky and a cloud or something on it, just to pretend like I was outside, or a place I could go to. Take a lot of breaks.
Yeah. Get up every 50 minutes, do some burpees.
Breaks are really important. You know what we're doing right now? We're sitting here. Sitting is the new smoking.
Oh, I love that.
It's just terrible.
I love it.
And I go to Dr. Riak and Dr. Feaster as my osteopaths, and they say that Dr. Riak's favorite saying is, "Motion is lotion."
Oh, I like motion is lotion. I use that, and I don't know if I got that from I think a physical therapist or two. I don't know if maybe they stole it from him. I love motion is lotion.
He also says stretching is the fountain of youth.
I know. He gets on me all the time about my lack of flexibility.
Yeah. So I would do stuff like, you could take instead of going to get a cup of coffee, stretch out your hip flexor.
Yeah.
Something like that. Really simple exercise to do. And that's what I would have to do to be able to handle being in a cubicle or be doing the same thing every day. Like, we're so lucky that every day that we're alive, it's different. We run into different people. We're in different places. We're doing different seminars, and you got different clients, and you got different messages. And I think that's for me, that's the spice of everything, is the variety, doing something different.
Oh, that is huge. I mean, just again, I couldn't imagine sitting there all day long. I read an article about, if you do sit at your desk, I mean, you should set your alarm. Zig Ziglar calls it an opportunity clock. Set
That's
your
right.
opportunity clock every 50 minutes and take 8 to 10 minutes of every hour and do something. Well, go to the third floor back and down a few times. Do some squats. Who cares what the people around you are thinking? You're getting that blood flowing because, like you said, the sitting is the new smoking. I'm going to use that.
It is. It's good. It's true.
I love that. Did Doc React tell you that?
No, that was a lady, and I forget her name, but she did a seminar for safety conference down in Lima, Ohio, and she said, and she had proof. A lot of your body starts to show. We weren't meant to sit like this. A lot of your body's organisms start shutting down when you sit too long.
Really?
And that's how my back went out last week. I was driving the car all day long, and then sitting a lot at night, and I stood up and I couldn't move.
I mean, we're hunters and gatherers.
Yeah.
We need to be out there hunting and slapping the meat on our shoulder and taking it and walking over logs and bending over.
Let's go do that.
I know. We'll do that after here. You eat meat though, don't you?
Yeah.
You eat meat? Okay, that's good. You're not a vegan. I don't have anything against vegans. Nothing against vegans.
I'm paleo.
So. You're paleo? Oh, you're not on the paleo, are you? On the paleo?
We eat paleo.
So
as much as we can.
And that's just everything that
Natural.
Human hasn't tampered with. I mean,
organic stuff.
Yeah, really.
Yeah.
What'd you have for breakfast?
I had bacon and
McDonald's.
eggs.
No. Did you have bacon and eggs?
I had a shake. First of all, an isogenic shake.
Oh, really?
That's the first thing I had to get nutrients into my body. And then a huge, big old glass of water. First thing in the morning, that's great to have water.
Oh, yeah. Water in the morning is key.
And right around 10 o'clock, I'll get bacon and eggs.
Okay.
Lots of bacon.
Really? You know what? My son came home the other day and was like, my teacher says that turkey bacon is a lot better than regular bacon. I'm like, come here. And I Googled it, and turkey bacon's so processed. And it even said that regular bacon's not as processed. It's got, now they're saying bacon's good for your heart.
Yeah.
Who knows?
Yeah, they keep changing
They keep changing it. Now 4 cups of coffee are good. That excited me. You drink coffee?
No, it does something to my digestive tract. So
Really? Well, you're looking good,
I don't want
Bruce.
to talk about it.
Okay, yeah. Let's leave that. Let's leave that. That's a whole nother podcast about.
I must be doing something right, because when I tell people that I'm 70, they go, "Wow, you don't look 70." So as long as people keep saying that, I'll be fine.
Yeah, you do look good. You do
I
look good.
appreciate that. Thanks,
So you tell you have usually 3 sessions with teams. I mean, is that what you do?
That's what I like to do. Some of them they would rather just have the one. Maybe it's a price thing. Although I try to be really as lenient as I can with the price. I just want to do the work. Back when I first started out, money, you keep your business going, you had to make some money. Now I'm at the end of my career. I guess.
Yeah, right.
And I don't care.
Yeah.
I've done it, and I just want to help as many people as I can.
You just want to go around the world and spread your motivation.
Yep.
Well, I tell you what, Bruce, I remember when you worked at the University of Finley. What did you work in, the admissions office?
Admissions, yeah.
Yeah. I just remember I was probably 21 at the time, and for some reason we connected. You might not remember this, but I came to your office and you talked to me, and I just remember feeling really good, like you genuinely cared about, what you were saying to me. And it was a very good feeling, and I think right after that, I've always admired you. And then when I saw that you started doing all this motivational speaking, I was like, gosh, dang. Deep inside, I was like, that'd be great to be able to do that someday. So when we did connect in 2004, 2005, when we started to really meet, and we did some presentations together.
Yeah, we did. And they were fun. People still remember them. And I always enjoy, we don't see each other enough.
I know.
And I remember that first time you came, because I can still remember you wanted to start your own gym.
Yeah. Did I tell you that?
And yeah, and you were talking about it, and I was giving you tips on what you should do. I said, just do it.
Uh-huh.
And you were going to do it. I think you started it in your garage.
I started it in my garage. Yeah. So you're an inspiration for me, Bruce, and
you've
I do.
been an inspiration to me right back too.
Well, that's nice, guys. If you guys are just not, if you're just listening to this and not watching the video, we're hugging right now. So, Bruce, yeah. So anyhow, I'm glad I had you in. Thanks for all your expertise, and keep going out there.
It's my pleasure.
And knocking them down. Where are you going next? Are you going to, what do you got next?
I got carried. I'm doing something for the Bureau of Workers' Comp on Thursday, team building seminar, because they've got some new employees, and they're bringing, it's called an all hands meeting. They're bringing people from all over together, and they've got all these new hires, and so they want to get to know strengths about each other and stuff. So I'm doing a seminar on team building for them.
Cool. Hey, it's the Winner's Edge. You guys want to have a great motivational speaker come in. Not only a motivational speaker, someone that's just going to fire you up for the rest of your life, like he did me. Google the Winner's Edge, Bruce Boguski. Awesome guy. Couldn't recommend him more highly. So thanks a lot, Bruce, for coming.
Thank you, Jimmy.
All right,
you so
buddy.
much. My
Talk to you
pleasure.
later.